Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro. It's time to review I Carry You With Me. This is like a US-Mexico production from director Heidi Ewing, who previous to this was a documentary filmmaker. And this story is entirely true and blends documentary in a way, but it's mostly like a narrative feature.
This is a true story of a gay man living in Mexico who eventually immigrated to the United States illegally, and the relationship he found while in Mexico. It starts out being about how Mexico treats people who are gay and how he can't really have a future there. And that ends up being the driving force for him to actually go to America. This movie is like fascinating. I mean, it explores the immigrant journey in such a real way. And it makes you reflect on like why people go to America, like what they see in it, whether that's really there or whether it's like just a dream. I do not think this is anti-American dream at all. I think it's very
pro.
It's very pro. But it's interesting because it has that nuance of like he is finding something in America that he could never have in Mexico. But the grind, like for him to work his way up into where he wants to be is brutal.
Also, when they discuss the move, they're like, they hate us there.
And also just like the loneliness. I mean, I kind of was reminded of The Farewell, where like whenever you move from one country to another, that's super lonely. People not speaking the same language that you do. And it's also a love story. The film is beautifully shot, and it looks like they did so with a very low budget.
The way it's shot is sort of reminiscent of Terrence Malick films in a way. It's not doing like as much Terrence Malick shit, but the color palettes are like brilliant in every scene. I think you sort of realize the purpose of this like more as the film goes on. It sort of takes a stylistic turn towards the third act where you begin to appreciate like the filmmaking decisions in contrast, I would say. You're just kind of painting this like dreamy portrait of Mexico, very different from what I've seen in other films shot there. This is a really soulful film that spans a character's life for decades and really feels like sweeping and big.
Yeah, by the end of this film, I felt like I understood this life and I had to some degree like lived it. And that was very powerful. Like there are not many movies that give me that kind of feeling by the end where it's like, wow, like that was a story of like a life. And it ends on this note that's really interesting where it kind of keeps this ambiguity. It's raw and like heartbreaking. It's also a story about, you know, achieving your dreams.
There's like two kinds of dreams in this movie. There's like the dream of going forward and the dream of the past.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
play back in your head that's motivating you to go forward.
That's like the main conflict of the movie. Like it's just being like caught between these two things. One might not even be better than the other necessarily.
I think that the power of the movie lies in watching it as a full experience because the end is just like a weight on your chest watching this movie because it's so powerful because you've experienced so much with this character and you feel like a deep nostalgia, and it wouldn't have been able to achieve this without the way that it blends documentary and narrative. There are a lot of people who actually aren't fans of how this is done, and I just cannot understand that because I think that literally makes the movie.
Yeah.
And the best part of the movie is actually when it's doing the documentary style almost. Not that it's a better style, but the way that it complements the other one heightens both.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a testament to like what film can do and kind of what film is. They're literally taking a story that's real and they're bringing life to it by shooting these memories and like these scenes of like what this person's life could have been or used to be like. It's about like what cinema can do to bring that alive. In contrast to the end, like you said, it makes it very meaningful. In the first half, you're moving along at a slower pace, but I think by the end, you come to appreciate that, and it definitely like quickens up. I think I kind of just appreciated every moment of it because by the end, I was like, those are just like memories. That's life. It just felt very real and true to me.
This is a film that since Sundance, like I think about if I try to imagine like the experience of an immigrant or specifically an illegal immigrant. It's not overtly political, but just empathizing with this story can make you think about politics in a different way, I guess.
This film is like entirely real. I think I saw one review on Metacritic that was just awful, like a terrible take. They said this film has an agenda. And it's like, it literally never has an agenda except it's telling a true story. And if you think that the act of telling a true story is some sort of agenda, like that's kind of disgusting. It does make you feel a certain way about this issue, but it's through telling a true story that you end up feeling that way. It's not through propaganda.
At Sundance, I actually had the privilege of seeing the director talk with the two subjects of the film. And she was like friends with these two. And she decided to like tell their story in this way. So this is just like literally a true story that was told with nothing but just like passion and empathy. So I don't know why you would ever say that.
Yeah, and it's a good story. It's like, oh, that's like a really awesome journey. Like, I want to know more of what that's like. And that's why the filmmaker made the film they did. It's really not pretentious.
The only other time I've seen this style blending narrative and documentary.
Close Up did that, yeah.
And American Animals did that too. And that was very good.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
But this one does it in a way that I think is its own. And I'm like totally on board with more movies that do this.
The way that Close Up did it was really interesting. Like, it was kind of like this one where it made the movie, the fact that it blended two different things. I'm very curious what this director will do next. Also, shout out to the performances. Like, the people who played the younger versions of the couple were like very, very good.
Yeah.
Great actors. I hope they do more work.
The performance of his friend was good too.
Yeah, she was very good also.
I don't know if there's a world where this gets submitted for Mexico's foreign film. The movie New Order might be like that submission. I'm not even sure if it's technically a Mexican film since it's a U.S. filmmaker. I'd imagine it might be U.S. production companies. I would love to see it get Oscar buzz in general. It won't, but I would like to suggest that it should get Oscar buzz because I think it's one of the best movies of the year.
I agree. I think this is one of the best films of the year. And it left me like feeling a lot of things.
Profound feelings. Universal feelings of nostalgia and like just feeling the weight of 20 years ago and of the future at the same time. Difficult to describe, but profound.
Yeah, definitely stick with it, even if the beginning is like a little slower for you. I would give this a very high 9 out of 10.
I'm going with a 10 out of 10 on this one.
It's excellent. Like, it's top 10 movie, probably.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. What do you carry with me?